Good evening, everyone. Good evening,
Good
and
evening.
welcome to an unusual one for me. We don't normally do a service or a demonstration on a Saturday night, but I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Maka White. We've not worked
Thank you.
together, and I've not seen you actually for such a long time. It's really
No,
nice to catch up.
thank you.
Tonight we've not really got a lot planned. We thought it could be a Q&A session, a chat. We'll do odd readings in between. And if Maka's got anything particular he wants to talk about, that's fine as well. Oh, hi, Matthew Stapley from Canada. Nice to see you on. It's nice to see everybody on, actually. It really is. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us, especially as I know the Masked Singer is on.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that program as well.
I've got it Sky Plus. I'm Sky Plus in it. I'll watch it after. Can't miss it.
Great
It's
program.
weird. It is. It's really odd. And when people told me the premise of it, I thought, really?
Yeah.
So I caught one last season and thought, actually, this is really strangely addictive.
I know. I still wanted to try those costumes on.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Question for you.
I thought that Robin, that Robin, it was the first time I caught it, and there was this Robin thing. I thought it was brilliant. I was mesmerised by it.
Robin was brilliant, really good.
Yeah.
And last season, I wanted to be unicorn. There was a unicorn on last season, and it was
I didn't see that one.
Jake Shears from the Scissor Sisters was unicorn,
Oh,
and I thought, well, yeah, I get it now. Prancing around with a rainbow horn on his head. Yeah. Oh, Sharon Calladine. Oh, harsh.
Oh well, at least it means we've got a fun tonight, Tony.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, you can watch us instead. There you go. Because we're going to be working with Spirit, I would like to do an opening prayer just to set the intention and to ask for protection for everybody. So if we could all just join together for a short time, please, and I'll just do a quick prayer. Great Spirit, we thank you for allowing us to gather together in your name tonight. We ask that there be protection around us for the short time that we are together, and I ask that the veil be lifted between the two realms to allow Maka and myself's guides to step forward so we may become clear vessels of communication between the two worlds. As always, we promise that everything that we do here will be done with love, truth, and honesty in our hearts. And at the end of this evening, we will hand back everything which is rightfully yours with love, honour, and glory. Amen. There we are. Thank you. Oh, Matthew says they're having a giant snowstorm in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had a mild snowstorm the other day.
No, I don't
I was straight.
anything quite like that.
No, I would imagine not. Oh, dear.
In panic, though. We're just not used to it.
No, this is it. We're just wimps. All the rest of the world just seem to get on with it, and it's like, yeah, whatever. It's a bit of snow, but we come to a grinding halt. It's just a nightmare. Yeah, like Michael says, if you've got any questions or anything you want us to talk about, drop a comment, and we'll get to as many as we can. We'll talk, have a bit of philosophy, see where we're going, and then if any messages pop through, we'll drop them off as well, and we'll give them off and drop them off. We'll give them off and see what we do. Did you want to say anything, Maka, before we start?
Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself, Tony, because I'm not sure who is watching and where they're coming from, whereabouts in the world they are either. But hello to all of you. Obviously, I'm working with Tony tonight. I am a spiritual medium, okay, and I've been working with spirit for around about the last 3 or 4 years, professionally, but obviously been on a spiritual journey far longer than that. Tonight, I've got my cards with me, and I'll probably tend to use those more than anything, just because sometimes if I link into just working solely with spirit, I'll overrun and I'll end up talking to one person for a long length of time. So because I struggle to close the door when I've opened it sometimes, especially if I feel that they want to say something to you. So I'll try and focus on the cards a little bit and what I get from spirit, but I'll try and keep each reading to about 3 cards, just so that we can get around a few more people and make it a bit more fair for you as well. And then me by day, I'm an ordinary working person. I have to learn everything in life the same way as everywhere else. Just because I work with spirit doesn't mean that I've got all the answers, because I don't have them all for myself. Okay. Spirit certainly don't come that close and give us the wisdom that we want in our own lives sometimes, because we're all on that same path of learning for ourselves. And we have to do that. Just because we're spiritual doesn't mean that we're exempt from any lessons in life that we still come to do. So no negativity or anything. Please don't expect me to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. I'll do my best, okay? But sometimes that communication is coming in all forms of sense. Oh, bless you, Sharon. You know, so that we can just try and keep it in focus. I've not got anything specific that I want to address philosophical wise, let's say, but you know, I love a chat, and I can only answer questions based on the experiences that I've had in my life and the learning I've got. What I may say now may change with another experience that I live. So it's really important that any information that I give you, you use your own soul to sort of highlight what it is that's relevant to you. And if it's not relevant to you or something that's right for you at the moment, then just put it to one side. Okay, nothing that we say or do in spiritualism is a dictatorship. It's up to you to take from it what is right for you. I will first of all though start talking to you about grounding, okay, because this has been something that I suppose really it gets addressed when we first start developing, doesn't it, Tony? You know, it gets spoken about grounding, but I don't want to talk about grounding in the usual sense of imagining roots coming out of your feet, because that is not how my recent experience has showed me how I can accept more grounding information by looking at it in that way. What I mean by grounding is it's something that we try to do to keep us fixed here, something a little bit more present, and those kind of things, okay, so that we're sort of feeling the physical life and not too floated to the spirit world. And I think when we're looking for spiritual advice, messages or knowledge or something like that, or we're drawn to watching these things all the time, that can indicate a sign that somebody's not grounded, because we're looking to the spiritual side of life for all of our information, which is good. And you'll attract people to you that can bring you that information that can help you learn. But you may start to identify that you're struggling with the physical side of life, that you can't relate to people in the same way, that you feel that there's more love on the spiritual side for you than what there is in the physical world. And so therefore, a lot of your activities or your daily interest becomes spiritual focus. And that's really important, that we can address those interests that we've got of connecting with our loved ones on the other side of life. But we also have to remember that we are here in the physical, and their world can't survive in ours, and ours can't survive in theirs all the time. We just have to have those visits. So it's really important that when we're connecting with our loved ones, that we also recognise that sense of spirit in ourselves, that sense of duty that we want to achieve or develop those lessons that can help us to develop really that perception that when we're connecting to our loved ones on the other side, that we're also connecting with ourselves, because the information that they're bringing forward is usually going to be related in some way to a spiritual lesson. So, for example, they don't just come back and share their memories. They come back and bring those memories to evidence who they are, and because they're lovely to remind people of. But that isn't the message. The message will follow after that information, and that message is going to be something spiritual. And the reason why they bring that message is because we're all needing to connect on that spiritual basis. But a lot of times I've found during my professional mediumship, I don't know about you, Tony, that the focus is very much on the loved one coming forward. And it's lovely that we have that available. I'm not disputing it, but what I'm saying is that's just one piece of the cake. We have to open up this whole way, because otherwise what we find when we're delivering messages or those kind of things is that the focus is too much on what information is coming through, and that isn't the essence of your loved one, is what they can tell you, what they can't tell you. In the same way that if I passed over tomorrow and came to bring a message through Tony, it wouldn't be like having a conversation in this way. There would be a lot more dynamics that are going on there. So one of the dynamics that could be going on that makes that quite difficult is that because I'm used to living a physical life and now I've ended up just within the spiritual realm, that I don't want to be there, that I want to be in physical. So I'm going to be much more closer to earth, which will mean that I'm around people a lot more. And I think the reason why grounding is important to me is so that you can connect to yourself and be in the here and now, because we don't just wait until we pass to the other side to meet our loved ones again. Because if we was just doing that, we're setting this expectation that our loved ones don't move on until we arrive. And then when we arrive, how long is it through the generations before we forget that loved one's physical, that then we can all move on? We must allow that time for people to move on and look at the spiritual messages. There's not a way of having a direct line to our loved ones, but it's a way to connect, to build that deeper understanding of everything that's going on around us, including in your own life. So as what I'm trying to say to you is that as well as having a spiritual interest in messages and those kind of things, okay, and your loved ones coming forward, try to develop that interest in yourself. What is it that really interests you in life? Maybe it's different countries, languages, hobbies, different interests and things. Because if we can interact with those in a physical way on a daily basis, we'll certainly be a lot more grounded to the here and now and start to develop that gratitude of what we're grateful for, what we can give to people in the same way of what was given to us, so that we don't focus on this sense of loss so much. There is no sense of loss. We're just all falling through this dark, stupendous hole, if you like, and meeting up with each other along the way. But we don't reach the end. We don't get to that end of when we all arrive at that same place, that we've all got a house, all these material things. We're still on that continuous learning journey. So there is no end. But sometimes I feel that when we're ungrounded or not grounded properly in the physical, we see that we've got to wait for all of these things as we move to the other side of life. And that's not right at all, because everything that is happening in our physical has happened within the consciousness already. It's just revealing itself. So to address that consciousness, really, is what I'm saying is be physical in your own life. And as difficult as that is at the moment, connecting physically can just be walking, having a daily conversation, connecting with anything that's physical as well as your spiritual, because otherwise, if we get that balancing wrong, which is something that I've struggled with on my journey of getting that balancing wrong, of always having my head on the spiritual side but not connecting to the physical, is we don't relate to things in the same way. So we're going to start developing these symptoms of feeling depressed, unconnected, not belonging, and those kind of things. And I know for one, from what Brian, one of my guides, is telling me now, that there's a lot of people that can relate to that on here, those feelings of depression, of suicide, of getting close to that point of nearly taking it but not quite doing it. And that's probably led you into this spiritual focus more than anything. So what I'm saying is this can provide you with different answers to what it is that you're looking for, but the real answer for yourself is to address what's inside and know that as well as the spirit will coming forward with their messages, the message that you hold is just as equally vitally important. And it's really important that you discover that, but you won't discover it if you're not grounded. Does that make sense? Is there any questions? Because I feel like I'm started churning all this information out. I don't even know what to say.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's I hear what you're saying, and Matthew put a comment up earlier about it's difficult because if you imagine putting roots down into Mother Earth at the minute, the Earth is just so chaotic that all you're going to absorb is this chaos that's going on the planet at the minute. So yeah, but we have got a couple of questions that I've seen going up. And then Matthew says, absolutely, he agrees with what you're saying. But for people who are empathetic, sometimes to elevate to a slightly higher connection than being grounded on Earth, like you said before, with the world going a little bit crazy, and empaths are absorbing all this crazy energy that's going on. I know myself, it's felt a bit chaotic.
And I agree with that, Matthew. If you're imagining yourself putting roots into Mother Earth and sucking up all of that chaos, that's exactly what you will do. My point is, try something else to be grounded by doing a hobby, going walking or something that can help you to connect to the physical, because what we're trying to do is ground ourselves in a way that doesn't absorb all of this chaotic energy that's going on, which is why Spirit are bringing this information in a different way. Try not to focus on roots into the ground to ground, because you are going to pull up all of that energy that's around you. If that's the way that you're perceiving it to be, it will happen. But if you can do something that connects you to yourself, that's equally as important to grounding. That's what Spirit is saying. So hope that plays that up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know about you, but I've had it a lot where there are two things for me going on at the minute. People are either absolutely desperate to hear from loved ones, and that's all they want. They don't want the message, they just want evidence of the people who are coming. And I can get that, because people want to focus on something at the minute because life's so upside down. They want proof that, because, I mean, if you look at the death tolls and things that are on the news all the time, people want that hope that, well, if anything happens, I want to know that I'm going to go somewhere and this isn't going to be it. And I can get that. And people watching live feeds, not just mine, but all the others that are going on, they're going mad. Not mad in a bad way, but people are just tuning in. I could do 7 a week, 1 every night or 2 a day, and I'd get people watching just because they're looking for something. And the other thing I'm getting is people want, I don't know how to explain it. People just want like the fortune telling. They want to know that everything's going to be all right, and they want the message. They're not really bothered about who's giving them it. And I've just found there's been that separation, and there's 2 distinct camps. Luckily, the regular people who watch me all the time, they understand that there are distinct sections to the way a spiritual medium works. Evidence of who you're connecting with, that's the first bit. Prove beyond a doubt who you're working with in spirit. Why have they come? They've come for a reason. Even if it's just to say, hello, I'm here and I'm fine and I'm around you. There's always a message that goes with it. They don't just arrive and give you a list of, I was 6'4", I had brown hair, I worked as a builder. They don't do that. They come and give you enough evidence. But I hear what you're saying about grounding, because people can look to spirit so much. I've seen it myself when you've suffered a horrendous loss. I know people that would have a reading a week with me if I would do it, because they want to connect with that one person in spirit all the time. And you become focused, like you said, into the world of spirit, and you forget that you're here in the physical to have a life. And so, yeah, I get completely what you're saying, and it's as part of our job as a spiritualist medium, the people you're sitting with, I feel you have to ensure that they're okay, and that they're not focusing into the world of spirit 24/7, because that's not good. They're always around you. We know they're always around you, but you've got to remember that you are important as well, and you have value, and you have a life, and you've got to find something that you can connect with here. Anyway, we could go on all night, but we have got a couple of questions. We have Trace Lapworth says, really struggling to stay focused with meditation at the moment. Any advice?
So yeah, I mean, meditation that offers its struggles on its own, but if you're being affected, like many people, by the coronavirus at the moment, then obviously you may have more going on in your mind, that's going to pull you off to those things. Personally, I find that meditation is going to busy the mind anyway. So if you are somebody that's got a very busy mind, sending you out on a journey somewhere to bring you back, you're going to look for everything that's going on that journey. So you're automatically looking. What I would say to you is, if you're wanting to develop spiritually more so, I would probably look at more along the lines of sitting in the power, and those kind of things that's going to build your energy up, where you can do these things to meditate. So a lot of people think, I'm going to do a meditation, they'll look for a CD or a program or a talking method. You can meditate just sat in the quiet, listening to a ticking clock, if that don't frustrate you. It does some people, but I like the noise. Listening to your favorite music, whatever it is that allows you to disconnect to what's going on around you at the moment. That is the art of meditation. So it all depends on how you're meditating exactly as to what it is that may just need tailoring differently to you, for you to sort of adapt. But that's part of the program of your spiritual development, is your meditation will change. So what you once found easy to do, it will start to alter. You may start to find more challenges come because you're ready to move on to that next stage. So it feels to me that if you're struggling with your meditation, there's something else that you need to address in your life at the moment. And if you're able to do that, it should just clear that that room in your mind to allow that next piece of information to come forward as to what it is that you either need to try now or what else is going to work. I don't know if you're connecting with different groups and things like that. Okay. Again, another thing, connecting with the group. There's a lot of groups out there. Don't lose yourself in that by overloading yourself. Stick to the groups that you're valuing information coming from, or where you're building up a relationship, where you can initiate those conversations about what it is that you actually feel you're struggling with, and people will be able to help you with that. Sometimes when we become too overwhelmed with too much, we lose that personalism, really, of what it is that we're actually getting out of each group. Try to stick to the ones that are right for you. I do want to say to you, though, it feels to me as though you're probably quite a visual person. So when you're doing your meditation, I imagine that it's maybe it may becomes quite easy for you to process these images and things, what you're expecting to see and things like that. That's because the person you are. My tips of meditation are that when Spirit have been helping me with it, if I'm a visual person, in the meditation, they'll bring feeling, so that I start to connect to the feeling and not just visual images. So, you know, really it's to feel into what's going on. But just remember, in the same way to ground, in meditation, there's lots of different ways to meditate, and you may feel that just to recharge yourself, to build up that energy, sat listening to a few of your favorite songs for 5 minutes with your eyes shut, or tapping your feet or dancing, will equally settle that mind down once you've got to that stage, you may be in a quiet frame of mind to then be able to pick up a meditation and go on that journey anyway. All right.
I completely agree. I find it hard if I stick a CD on, go and lie on the bed or sit in a chair and try and focus on it. I find that really difficult. If I pop some headphones in, listen to some music that I don't really have to concentrate on, I know the words off by heart, so I don't have to listen to it, and take the dogs out for a walk, that works for me. My mind quietens down and I can do it. But yeah, I agree as well that I find that if I'm used to doing something and the family upstairs are sort of saying to me, "Nah, you're ready to move on," my mind goes all over the place and I really can't do it. So I know I'm ready to take the next step. Jo Cox asked something, and I feel she says we're already covering it, but I still feel drawn to that question. What I feel here, Jo, is it can be that, like we've just been saying, that when I know I'm ready to, or when things start to go a bit haywire for me and I think I don't want to do this anymore, it usually means that they're going to start introducing the next challenge. So Spirit are saying to you, you've done this, you've done your level 1, tick, you're ready for level 2, so we're going to move you on. So you start to feel that the stuff you're doing starts to be a bit off, a bit odd, and you don't feel as engaged with it because they're disengaging you from that to move you up. Like when I first started, I wanted to be a healer. I had no interest in going on platform. I had no concept of that. I thought I can sit in a circle, give off a few messages and be a healer. They were having none of that. So they started pushing me. When I was trying to learn healing, it wasn't making any sense. I couldn't make head and a tail of anything. I just felt completely out of my depth. And I was thinking I'm going to give up. But then I started moving more towards giving more and more messages in open circle, and they built me up that way. So don't give up, don't lose heart, just try and focus a little bit. Go, if you can, meditate and start asking the higher realms what it is they've got in mind for you, and just move slowly forward, and the direction will become clear. It really will. Anything you want to add to that, Maka White?
No, I mean, I think, like, thank you for your question, because I feel like that even now. I feel like sometimes, like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? Like, why do I feel so disconnected to everyone and everything that's going on in those kind of things? But this could quite possibly be that there are a number of feelings and emotions going on inside you right now. So sometimes if we feel that the spirit world aren't that close to us, we can feel like they're not around us anymore, those kind of things. But again, maybe if you've been focused on the spirit world or used to having that there, maybe this is much more a time for you to find ways to feel more grounded and not connect, because I kind of feel like if this is wrong, please correct me, because it could be something else. But I kind of feel like there's a loss or a feeling of a depression that's been going on with you as well. There's a lot of emotions, and I want to say that I feel that I'm very easily triggered at the moment, and those kinds of things. Okay, and I think that there are definitely people that you're missing on the other side, that you're not feeling as close to, and it feels to me in my clairvoyance when I'm looking that the gap that I'm feeling between that connection is because of the way that I'm feeling in myself, but they are still with you, and are still around you, and those kind of things. I feel as though my guy's saying to me that sometimes you do see the shadows on the wall or something like that, and you become aware of the male energy. There's definitely a strong male energy around you. So those equally are signs that they're still with you and that you're still on that pathway. But equally at the moment, because we're all learning for ourselves, it's a very confusing time, and it's a very confusing time to, you know, decide what it is that we want to do or where it is that we go spiritually and those kind of things. But, you know, it's never an easy path either. So you will feel disconnected from your spiritual pathway at times. And in my experience of when I felt like that, it's usually because at that time where I'm feeling disconnected, it's because there's something that my soul or my spirit is asking me to address within myself. And that could just be down to the way that I'm feeling as well. Hope that makes sense for you.
Yeah, I think it does. There's a lot of positive comments coming up. So yeah, a lot of love for what we're saying. Dell put a comment up, naughty, naughty, biting your nails. I'm really not. I've got some dead skin on the side of my fingers, and that's what I'm chewing at while I'm concentrating on the energy, because there's so much. You guys are building up so much energy at the minute. I'm buzzing here, so I'm trying to focus on different things.
At least you didn't pick your nose.
Well, no. Matthew just says, well said. He agrees with everything you're saying. So yeah, Joe's just put a comment up. I'm introducing my daughter to Headspace. I've seen that app, and she says the nice little 20-minute meditations and different things. If that's what works for you, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I always say, we as mediums, and if we're working in a development class or a circle and people are asking it, like you guys are asking questions, we can only say what works for us, because it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You've got to find your own way of working and engaging with spirit. And like I said, meditations don't always work for me. So, but I have seen that app, and I've had the free trial bit that you can get, and there's some really nice stuff on there. So, yeah, really good if that's going to help with you. Oh, and Sharon Calladine says,
yeah, I mean, there's a number of ways. In the same way that there's a number of ways we're working with spirits, okay? And what I've found in development classes when I've been sitting with other people or mentoring other mediums that are developing is that if they're around a lot of people that are working in one way, so they say they're around everybody that doesn't work with tools, they'll feel that it's accepted that the only way to work with spirit is to not work with tools, okay? If you put in a pack of cards in front of them, a pack of tarot cards, something like that, and they're struggling, is probably because it's not the right way. What we want to do when we're working with spirit, first and foremost, okay, it's not about having a completely empty mind or any of those things, because believe you me, if spirit want to get their message through, they will make it evident to you in your mind, however busy it is, okay? But what we need to be doing really is trying to identify what it is that gets us into the flow. And if we can link that into our daily interests and hobbies, not only are we going to be grounded in what we're doing, we're going to find it easy to get into that flow to allow spirit to come close, okay? So within meditation, when we're first developing, a lot of what we're dealing with within the mind is that fear of the spirit world coming close. So as we move forward on that journey and that fear lessens and we become to build up that positive relationship with the spirit world, it's no longer going to need the same focus it did before. They can alter it to let us in a little bit more. So, you know, a lot of things that we don't see done within spiritualism is us adapting that creative nature to our mediumship. So, for example, if you was a hairdresser and when you was in the hairdressing, you're talking to people and some things like that, and you've not got this focus of the spirit world and your mind's quite calm, the spirit world could equally step in at that time. So what I'm saying is don't stick to these taught ways of mediumship. Allow yourself to experience your own of your own way of working, because maybe it would be right for you to not just go for a tarot reading, but equally, if spirit gave you a message while you was having your hair done, you'd be all right with that. You'd be all right with that, because it's not direct and it's non-focused. And what I'm saying to you all is if we can ground ourselves properly and find what it is that keeps us here and connected, you'll find it much easier to get into that flow of things. And it may be that, you know, you're not good at talking from a platform or talking one-on-one or those kind of things, but if you was to paint a picture, you could offer inspirational speaking through that. Do that. Do that, because that's still a gift, that's still valuable. And the information that the spirit can link in while you're giving that inspirational speech is still a vital message. It absolutely is, and it will touch hearts. So what I'm saying to you is the way that we struggle or feel disconnected or those kind of things is because we're looking at what everybody else is doing. We are nobody else. We are just ourselves. And the way to work with spirit is very unique, because that's what you are, very unique. So trying to find your way with that is going to take some time, but you're never going to find the way with that unless you start looking into the self and what it is that your soul's saying, because your soul is just a soul like all of those that are passing over. It's just within the physical at the moment. So please do address it and what it is that it's saying to you, because not only will you feel more love from the spirit world and that they're deeper with you, you'll also feel a lot of love from your own spirit, because it's being recognized and you're beginning to serve its duty of what it's come to do. And if I keep going off train of thought, I do apologise about that, because I get a few words into talking and I forgot what the question is.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Megan Denson, fingers crossed, Megan's getting a COVID test done, so she can't watch all of the service, so she's apologising. Fingers crossed it comes back negative for you, sweetheart.
Oh, bless you.
Janice Maud, spirit nudged me to be creative, making things, reading books, writing things down daily. This helps me connect. Absolutely, like Maka's just said, you do whatever you need to do to get your mind calm and get you into the flow. And from what you're saying, it sounds like they might be guiding you towards maybe spirit writing or working with colours, things like that. You never know. Interesting journey. Let's see where it takes you, Janice. But absolutely, if that's what they're wanting you to do and you feel inspired while you're doing it, you go, girl. You go, girl. And keep us in touch. Let us know how you're going.
Books are brilliant. I absolutely love books, to be honest with you. And quite often, if spirit want to get something through to me, I'll be drawn to a book and open it, and you know, there'll just be a couple of lines and it'll be a message, it'll be relevant, it'll touch me in that way that it's a sign. So books are really useful information. If you're wanting to develop on that into offering spiritual readings, or you are in a spiritual journey and you're looking to do that at the moment, you may find that it's helpful to you if you keep certain books that you feel connected with, okay? And then what you can do as if you was moving forward into wanting to work professionally is we have to go through this stage of overcoming this public speaking. So what can be helpful to us is if you got somebody to pick a number between how many books you've got, you select that book, tell them to pick a page, you go to the page and you read that information that should be coming from spirit, and then you link into that and start working. It will just help you to overcome that flow and that fear of public speaking, because you've got something physical to grab, to read, that will just give you that first step to start speaking. And I know for me myself, when it first come to me coming on the platform, that public speaking got in the way of the mediumship, because I wouldn't want to get up, or I'd want all the message exactly how it was before I got up, but then I'd get up and then spirit had left me. I'd lost my link, so I couldn't put anything right. And you know, if you are wanting to develop spiritually, public speaking is something we have to overcome. So you know, it's great if you can think about what tools it is that you may need to help you to overcome that, to keep you in that flow of working with spirit, so that information can be accurate, evidential, but most of all loving.
Yeah. There was another question I wanted to pick up. Where's it gone? Crystal Whiteway just says, finding this really interesting. It's not a gift I have, but I've always been curious about how it happens and how you feel and how you cope. Michael reminding Sean Maltus, no Masked Singer spoilers because he's watching it. A few people actually saying at the minute, depression and headaches and things. Absolutely. I think after COVID starts to settle down, we are going to find a rise in mental health issues. I know myself, I suffer with mental health. I'm completely open with you guys. I've suffered depression and anxiety, and a few times through the past year, I've had issues. So I hear you, and I've always said, drop a message to me or Michael, Jean, or Irene, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you feel you need to reach out or you're feeling a bit down, don't sit there and stew in it. Reach out and we'll get back to you. But there you go. Oh, there you are. I found it. It was Matthew. Sorry, Maka. What do you guys think people can do to feel the connection directly at a deeper level on their own outside of the church or group gatherings? I'll just reiterate what I've just said. There are lots of things going on online. Yeah.
It's something that we're talking about. This is why Spirit brought in grounding at the beginning, because the way that you can connect outside of your usual church or gatherings or that community that you would usually have close is you can use this time to start to address your own spiritual needs. And, you know, the way that you're going to get more connected is if you're happier within yourself. So if you can start to integrate things that make you happy in the physical, you'll feel more grounded, and it'll be much easier to recognize that energy as it's coming in that isn't your own, to be able to keep working. But, you know, really it's, you know, certainly what my guides bring forward at the moment is the way that we can connect better or more deeper with spirit at the moment is to adapt the way that we're looking at keeping ourselves grounded. Okay, so we need to be grounded by feeling that we're in the physical. If we can feel that we're in the physical, we'll recognize the physical. Equally, we'll then recognize when the spiritual is hitting our physical because we're feeling it, we know what it is. You know, and I think that's something else on the journey as well, is that when we're looking to work with spirit, we're too in the physical that we can't feel the spirit. Then we go too much to feeling spirit that we're not in the physical. We've got to try and get this happy balance somewhere, because otherwise we do start to feel depressed. And, you know, me, I had very poor mental health over the years, but, you know, what we have to try and do is recognize that usually a lot of these ways that we're feeling that we're depressed, or we don't want to be here anymore, or we want to withdraw, not eat, not look after ourselves, and those kind of things, is because of those expectations around us that may be going on. And, you know, there are a lot of expectations at the moment because people are being expected to do the things they would usually do, but they can't because they can't afford it, because they've lost their work and those kind of things. So there is going to be a lot of this energy around that is difficult to know at the moment when you do connect with people or not. Is it you that's feeling depressed, or is it somebody else, or are you picking up on this because somebody else? There's a lot that's going off in it, but if we don't come into the self, keep ourselves physical, we won't be able to adjust. And, you know, when we can't adjust, we become intolerant and we start to build up this anger, this depression, this bitterness, and all of those things. And believe you me, I've built up a lot of those over the years, and believe you me, now I still get angry at times. Okay, what we don't want to do is we don't want to keep adding to this endless part of healing that's required for people. We want to try and hold that a little bit by doing what we can. So healing is something that comes from ourselves. We don't want to wait until all of this is over to go and see a healer and the head blows off because they've got to give you that much energy. Do you know what I mean? You can heal yourself, and that is the only way that you're going to do it. And if that means at the moment that your spirit or your soul is telling you are depressed, then you have a duty to yourself to try and halt that or fix that or do something about that. But that's not going to mean telling yourself, oh, pull yourself together. Oh, you shouldn't be feeling like that or whatever. Depression is something that you can't push away. You can't block it. You can't hold it there. It will sit inside you for as long as it needs to until you've addressed it. So, you know, instead of thinking about how you don't want to feel that way, think about what you can do to begin to process that in a safe way. So for me, if I wake up and I'm feeling a bit down, a bit sad, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm on the edge of tears, I will start that process off by listening to maybe a couple of sad songs on YouTube that trigger that switch that allows me to process that emotion. Everybody feels better after a cry. So, you know, we've just got to release it. And I think this is what happens with depression and why we build on it. I know myself, is because when I've got to the point of feeling suicidal, it's usually because I've refused point blankly to accept anything that's in the reality at the moment. So I'm not going to accept that somebody's treated me like that. I'm not going to accept that my job is like that. The moment we can accept exactly what the physical is the minute that we'll feel that slight attention to the spirit world, because we're making room. But if you're just completely putting things in your head and holding them there because you don't want to accept how you feel about yourself, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get to where it is that you need to be to address those spiritual needs. It's all in acceptance. And, you know, it is a big teaching from the spirit world. I don't think any of us have achieved it yet, because we struggle to accept each other, you know, because of our own expectations, agendas, and those kind of things. So, you know, acceptance is something that we may struggle to find because it's something that we struggle to give ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. The worst thing you can do if you're feeling like that is to hold it inside. I do think I agree with that slogan they've been using for a while now. It's okay not to feel okay. And it's okay to say to people,
Yeah,
I'm not feeling okay today. But going back to what you were saying about work and things, I went through a very difficult time at work. In fact, our whole department did, because for lots of reasons, it was just a very negative place to work. And it was a really, really bad time. And you do, now looking back, I should have walked months and months and months before I did. But nothing should make you feel like that. No job, no person, no nothing should make you feel that bad about yourself. It's just not right. If something's making you feel like that, it's time to move away. I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but by staying with it, you're validating that behavior from that person, be it a boss, be it a colleague, be it a lover, a partner, whatever. It's not good, and it shouldn't be accepted. And there are ways and means you can get help. There really are. So yeah, it just accept that it's okay not to feel okay sometimes, and it's okay. You don't have, when people say, how are you? You don't have to say, oh, I'm fine. You can say, I'm feeling a bit rough today, actually, you know. And
yeah. And if anybody is, you know, feeling a bit mentally unwell or anything at the moment, you know, welcome to the club, really, because there's plenty of us, you know. But I think the thing to remember with mental health, and it's something that really helped me when a mental health nurse said it to me, is you don't have to be mentally ill forever. It's just a time. It could just be a phase. It could be an experience that you're having that's making you mentally ill. Don't brand yourself because you feel like this, or because you are experiencing maybe slightly more severe mental health than what you have done before, that you're going to be like this forever. Because you know it passes, time passes, and things do change. So When I had my breakdown, I remember telling myself, you'll never work again, nobody's going to want you now, look at you, what a mess you are, and all of those things. That's me not accepting the situation for what it is, but for what I think it's going to be. Okay, so you can see what I'm saying about accept there. What I'm telling myself is not the reality of what I need to accept. It's something that I'm putting there, in the same way that if you're arguing with somebody, when they start to argue and they're adding that negative energy, you're going to make that a lot bigger if you start to add back to it by arguing. But if you sit and just in that energy and respond resiliently, the energy will begin to get tired, because we don't want to argue. We want to find that mutual ground of understanding, so that either our perception changes or yours does, you know, one or the other. Every discussion that we have can be a learning opportunity. But if we're going to turn it into a negative happening or a negative argument, we're going to start to attract those negative responses back as well, which equally just sends that out fire. So the sooner we can accept what's happening in front of us, the way that it's happening and not the way we think it is or perceive it to be, the sooner we can start to hold this damage and to find this more compassionate approach in the human nature that I think we're all yearning for. You know, I like to think that we're all yearning for that. You know, I certainly am. But when we don't accept things and we start to get angry and things like that, we lose that compassionate approach to human nature that we've all got the bit of ability to offer, really.
Yeah, completely agree.
Is there any more questions?
Lisa Scott. How can you know for sure that you've got a negative energy hanging around? I've had issues with my son's bedroom, got some advice, moved the bedroom around to change the energy, change the curtains. He's going in there now and playing, and he's going to bed, but she sits at the top of the stairs till he's asleep. Right. I think I know where you're coming from, Lisa. And I think we've talked about this before. And I think what you've got at the minute is you've followed up a message saying that the room, you felt it yourself in his room. But is that since he started going back to bed and using his room? You don't really make it clear. But I think I remember I remember talking to you about this and saying demons and all this sort of thing, I'm not convinced. I think there are spirit energies, and if somebody wasn't a really nice person when they were on Earth plane, they're not, unless they've learned and grown and developed when they've gone to spirit, they're still going to be a bit of a so-and-so. So if they're hanging around, that can affect especially younger ones. And I think you've got to ask your loved ones in spirit to come around and to just stay around your little one for a while until this energy shifts out of the way. Otherwise, I think what you might have here is some learned behavior from your little one, and he's learned that he can keep you at the top of the stairs till he falls asleep. I think you've just got to sort of start working away from that behavior. If you're still having issues with the energy, I would say find a medium, do a video call with them and see if they can pick something up and to help you with that. I don't know if you have anything different, Maka, to say.
I mean, negative energy, I mean, that's quite subjective, really. It's difficult to sort of hone in on what that could be, because there's a lot of negative energies that surround it. In the way that you've described it, is you've already marked a change in there. So the fact that he's now going in there and playing in there, but he wants to get up at the stairs, is different to what it was originally. So there must have been some change or some shift or something like that within your physical life that made that difference to the energy that was maybe being felt. You're always going to then have this reminder or this in your mind of when you feel that energy or you feel different, is it staying there and those kind of things. So we do have a responsibility to sort of teach ourselves that unprogramming of what we may have been programmed into, that fear. But it usually if you're feeling negative energies in your home, and there's no reason in the physical for you to be feeling that, so they're not coming from a physical person, they're coming from the other side. Usually that would be because you're struggling to protect yourself in some way at the moment as to why you would be picking up on that close. So if you're not, if you're quite vulnerable or very run by emotions or any of those things, or there's matters going on with affairs of the heart, you are going to be struggling to protect yourself a little bit more than usual, because you can't make the sound decisions without those emotions being involved. So, you know, I would say if there's been a change in that energy in the bedroom, that's a good sign of the work you've done in your physical life, sort of aiding to adapt that negative energy that you was feeling an impact from. So I hope that helps you. But without knowing exactly what the negative energy is, it's difficult for me to make the response a bit more specific for you.
Yeah. Matthew's just responded to us talking about mediums feeling anxious and things, and he says, I don't think I've ever met a medium that doesn't have some level of anxiety. Absolutely, Matthew. I did a chat with Reverend Nick Brown from Littleport Christian Spiritualists, and in that chat, which is on my Facebook page if anybody wants to have a look at it, we came up with that. I think every medium has had some stuff in their past. They've all got a story to tell. And I think what it is that spirit preparing us to be able to deliver messages to people in a way that is compassionate and understanding and given with love, because we've all gone through some really ups and downs and some dark times in our lives, so we know what that's like. And I just think, yeah, it is true. Every medium's got stories to tell. I know Maka has, because like I say, we've known each other a little while, and I know you've had stuff in your life.
Yeah, and I think, you know, anxiety is, you know, something that we're all capable of suffering or feeling at any time. You know, we put anxiety into these situations that we're faced on a daily basis. But, you know, if I put a grown man into a room full of people that was going to attack him, he would feel some anxiety. It all depends on what we're being presented with, what we're experiencing, what the circumstances are, as to how we're going to feel affected by that little bit. I think the reason that we tend to address this a little bit more within spiritualism is because we're more open to this evolving cycle in life, that things are ever changing, they're ever moving forward. And because of those changes that we're opening ourselves up to, we are likely to experience a little bit more anxiety, because we're allowing ourselves to accept those changes that come. You may find somebody that's not spiritual doesn't suffer with anxiety in the same way as somebody that's spiritual, because they keep things very comfortable, very much surrounded by the things that they know and aware of, don't take that leap out of their comfort zone very often. So their anxiety level is not going to be as high as somebody who does the opposite to those things. And, you know, I'm sure that, you know, yourself, Matthew, spirit will push you out of your comfort zone. It's mainly what the spiritual pathway is all about. So if you find yourself getting comfortable, they're going to give you a big kick onto somewhere else. And that's sort of evidence of our eternal progress, if you like, that we're always progressing. There is no end, there is no destination. You know, that destination, that sense of paradise, it's in yourself. You know, it's about feeling that you're in this feeling of paradise, whatever situation you are. And that's ultimately what we're looking to ascend to spiritually. We're not looking for the end when we've achieved everything, because what would happen then? You know, our soul groups would fall off the end of the earth, wouldn't they? Because we're all achieving everything. There'd be no more for them to do. And there's always something for us to do. Even if it's to just sit there looking beautiful and smile, there's always something to do. And if you can't find anything, let me know. I can find you something to do.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. And I think that the hardest thing for me is as a spiritualist and a medium, is to say to spirit, when Jean challenged me and said, your grandma's telling me that if you don't pick up your spiritual work now, they're going to walk away. And I went, all right, where do you want me to go? And to just hand over to spirit and say, lead me where you want me to be then. And that's a scary thing to do. It really is.
Absolutely.
Because it just really is scary. But once you've done it, it's building that trust in spirit and knowing that they will never ever leave you looking silly. They will always protect you, which goes back to Lisa. Your spirit people will always protect you. So if you feel there's something negative going on, without knowing exactly what it is, we can't do a lot to help at the minute. But spirit will protect you. They'll look out for you. Lots and lots of positive comments for us tonight about opening up and talking about mental health and things, and that we've both suffered with it, and people thanking us for being so open. And Trace Lapworth says it's a very important subject that should be spoken about more. Karen Louise Rhodes Cleo, this is great talking about mental health. There's so many people won't talk about it, but I feel it's important to speak out. Definitely is. And it's, sorry, I didn't mean to put that up. And a lot of people don't feel they can because they think of it as some sort of weakness, and it's not. It's like having a broken leg or tonsillitis or a physical medical issue. It is. So Lisa Scott's just said, if you went to speak to a professional about your thoughts and how you feel, etc., do they share that information with a doctor or anyone else? No.
Well, obviously, Lisa, they've got a duty to keep you safe. So if you're going to tell people things that means that you're likely to keep yourself unsafe, or you're going to cause any harm to anybody else around you, then that doctor's going to have a duty to tell those services that can help you. But it certainly doesn't get made public or anything like that. It would be a case of referring you to those services that are going to be able to help you, and those that are available to you at the moment as well, more than anything. But I don't think you should be afraid of the things that you're thinking about. You need to make them your friend. Okay, so listen to what it is they're telling you, because if they're telling you things that scare you, then really you should go and get some help with that, because this could be another indication that at the moment you're struggling to protect yourself with something that's going on with your life that you can't find a way out from, and it's causing these thoughts to sort of produce themselves that are telling you different information as the only way out. There'll be a number of way outs or a number of people that can help you, but again, it's not always easy getting that right support. If you can be grounded in your discussions, be aware of what support it is you may actually need to help you, or what it is that you're wanting to disclose and not disclose. If you can be clear about what it is you want to talk about, you can build a clearer expectation of what the outcome of that's going to be for yourself, really. So it's entirely up to you, but it sounds to me as though it would be worth you having a conversation with a GP that okay, so booking in with one that you feel comfortable with, and maybe you could just write a few things down before you go to that appointment about what it is you actually need to speak to on the first visit. On the second visit, you may decide to discuss more, but for the first visit, it may be worth you bullet pointing that and looking at any risks or harm that are associated that to yourself that you can do about, that may just remove these things without having to have that discussion if it feels scary talking about a doctor to that. And it does sometimes, doesn't it? Because they think, oh my God, if I tell them that, they're going to go and lock us up. But at the moment, I think, you know, you need to appreciate as well, there will be a lot of people feeling that they're at their wits' end, that they don't know what the way out is going to be, that they're starting to feel a little bit triggered by suicidal thoughts. You know, suicidal thoughts, they do exist. My concern is if those suicidal thoughts are happening to you and you've got ideations or any plans about what you're going to do about that, you really shouldn't see a doctor ASAP.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And the other thing I was going to qualify that with is we are talking from experience, not qualifications. So we're not medical experts or mental health experts. I've done bereavement counselling training. So I was going to say, if somebody came to me and said, I want to end it all and go and be with my loved one, then as a bereavement counsellor, I would have had to say to the person, I've got to break confidence and I've got to ring your GP because you are going to likely harm yourself. But no, they won't pass on that information anywhere else unless there is a risk to you or to somebody else. But
it's only if you're not feeling safe, really. But you know, I think suicidal thoughts are scary, but unless they're presenting themselves with ideations or specific plans in mind and things, you can actually start to reason with those thoughts a little bit with your own mind. So once it moves to the stage where you're becoming focused about ways to end your life or anything like that, you know, you really do need to seek medical help. So it's up to you to do what you feel is right. But I'm sure if you ask Spirit for a bit of help, they'll lead you to the opportunity.
Exactly, they will. And I mean, if they're just dark thoughts and not necessarily suicidal, Lisa, then the GP or whoever you go and speak to will keep you confident. They really will. Janice Mod has just made a really nice comment that I think is important. Spiritual growth is important to your mental well-being. Mindfulness is most important on our human experience. And it is a wonderful journey with spirit. I completely agree with you there, Janice. And those last few points you're making are truly important. Self-acceptance, love for yourself, and making friends with your ego. Crucially important. There's two things with ego. Ego is just yourself, your inner self, but it's when without naming names, and Maka will have seen similar experiences, it's when a medium is all about ego, that's when you're not working true with spirit. Because if your demonstration of mediumship is about you being clever, then that's not right. I've seen it happen, and I've seen it on quite a few occasions. I always say I'm just a Bluetooth speaker for spirit. They speak through me to their loved one. It isn't about me. It's about spirit, and it's about the person I'm reading with. But yeah, accepting yourself, that's a really hard thing to do as well, though, Janice, because I've spent a long time feeling a bit damaged, really, but it's taken me a lot of years to think I'm okay, and spirit have helped me with that. It's a wonderful journey, like you've said. Have you anything on that point, Maka?
I think that self-acceptance, I mean, the self-acceptance, it's massive, really, isn't it? And that's really what I've been trying to get at through what I've been saying. What was I going to say on that? Making friends with your ego, that's a really good one, isn't it? Because if we can't make friends with it, we can't accept it. And if we can't accept it, we're going to resent it and pretend that it's not there or that it doesn't exist. You know, even me, at times, I will fall into that sense of being egotistical. because that's the way that we're conditioned to be. So I may feel at Christmas, when I'm opening all of these presents, that I'm sat with the ego right beside me saying, oh, that's good, look what you've got, it is going to be there sometimes. So if you can't make a friend with it, you're never going to accept it. I think we do see a lot of egotism in spiritualism. I've certainly seen a lot of it as well. You know, and I think unless we can put more of an emphasis on the teachings of spiritualism, i.e., what those messages are, those things, what that actual teaching and that message is, we won't be able to address what it is that our egos need to be taught for us to move away from that, if that makes sense. So, you know, egotism is something that I think we all struggle to accept, but it's something we've all got. And, you know, usually when you're hearing somebody that's saying, oh, I haven't got an ego or anything like that, that's the person that's got an ego, because you're going to hear it in the sense that they're telling people they don't have it, but everybody else does. So, you know, we have to accept that the ego is going to be there, and that it can be our friend, it can be healthy. If you get to know it and it becomes your friend, you're more likely then to know when you've been the ego and when you're not, because you've learned to understand it. We can't understand how to, you know, make these adaptations to how we use an ego unless we learn to understand it, being there, what it is, and what it's saying to us, and what its agenda is, almost, you know, because the ego is always going to have an agenda that it wants to get to, something it wants to achieve or succeed at, or something that brings it out into feeling that it matches all of these expectations in life, that actually when we're looking spiritually, we don't want to be meeting all of these expectations in life, because they cloud that view as well as finding what our own are for ourselves. So, you know, it's a good point that about making friends with your ego, because vitally that is what you need to do. Yes, you need to make friends with it.
You do.
But just don't become it.
Yeah, and I think what you said there was a very important point as well, that it is okay to sometimes think, I'm very proud of that, I did that. That's absolutely fine, giving yourself recognition. But I think it's about appropriateness. There are appropriate times for your ego to be out there on show, and there are times when it's not. I just want to say a huge thank you to Sean Malters, because he's put a very honest post up saying spiritualism has helped him with his mental health, which is going back to the last point where it's saying that a spiritual development is important to mental health. But being honest and saying he has needed help, which is brilliant. Thank you so much, Sean, for being so open and honest.
Yeah, because what I would say to that is you know, when your mental health is suffering, you know, or really taking an impact of something, it's probably not the most wisest of things to be going and deepening your level of connection with the spirit world at that time, because you're emotionally vulnerable and you may struggle to protect yourself still. So if you're going to the spirit world with a really low, vulnerable energy, you're putting out there what you want to bring back, which is why in mediumship, you know, we try to build that power. We protect ourselves in the prayer and different things like that. So what I would say is, if you're really feeling mentally ill and things, putting pressure on yourselves, quieting the mind or developing your spiritual journey is going to add to that. So it will be worth always exploring what professional help there is there, because they'll be able to talk through what it is that's troubling you in a safe way. And when you're going to a medium, they can bring through information that's positive for you, but you're not going to open up about yourselves, because that would be giving yourself your own message. So, you know, we can't just rely on spiritualism to serve our mental health, because it's important that we're in the physical and we're relying on ourselves and the resources available to help us explore that mental health as well. And equally, whilst you're waiting for a spiritual message to amend your mental health or something like that, going along and having a conversation with somebody who's had a similar experience, or is able to help you in that professional way is still spiritual work. It's still spiritual work because it's still helping people. It's just we're doing it all in the physical, and that's still spiritual for me.
It is definitely. But I think once you're feeling recovered, like I did, when I felt better in myself mentally, having something like spirit work, it's really good, and it can help you focus on the positive rather than dwelling back in the negative all of the time, which is really good.
It has done me. It's been really helpful and things, but I most certainly agree that you should always reach out to the spiritual community because you'll always find a lot of love and support there. I say that depending on where it is that you go, I might add, but usually if you connect with the right spiritual group, they'll always be there to help you. But you maybe just won't want to put as much emphasis on developing the mediumship side. You maybe just want to be around those spiritual people at that time. Really what I'm saying is don't put too much pressure on yourself in a spiritual community, because that spiritual community won't be wanting you to put too much pressure on yourself.
Exactly. Michael,
have you got any more questions, or should we do some readings?
You can do a couple of readings if you want, love.
Okay, all right. So how are we going to do this? Because I can't see any names or comments and things unless you
can't you?
Up. So I can't see any. I can't see what anybody's writing or it's probably because I'm on my phone. I can only see me and you, and then the comments that you flag up. So yeah. So I don't know if anybody wants to come to the studio.
They can do. I can put the link in, I think. Let me just, I need to open a different tab. Just bear with me. I don't know what this has just done. Oh, it's not going to let me. Michael, chuck me my phone over. And I'll do it on my phone, it'll be easier. Yes, if anybody wants to come on for a reading with the lovely Maka White there, I will put the link in now, or if you put a comment in, I'll stream your broadcast, invite a guest, copy.
I mean, if you don't want to come into the studio, if you can just comment that you want a reading, if you just let me know that you're there and who I'm working with, I should be able to equally link into your energy with the cards without seeing or speaking to you, but you'll just need to give some feedback.
Yeah, if you want a reading, drop a comment, yes please, or something, and I'll pick it up and I'll put it on screen for Maka to see. Or if you want to follow the link I've just posted and come into the studio for an on-screen reading, we'll do a couple, and then because we've been on an hour and 20 minutes, we'll start wrapping up. The first name that came up is Jeanette Ann Madams.
Okay, so let's have a shuffle of these cards then, Jeanette, and if you can just say yes or no. But if you're saying no, if you can just write what that information is that you're not understanding, and then I'll know where it goes back. Sometimes if there's a delay on the comments and you say no, I struggle to know where it is.
There's a little bit of a delay.
If it's a no, if not, just keep saying yes, then I'll just keep reeling off what information it is that's coming forward. At the moment. Okay, all right. And I know before I've even picked up the cards, I can feel this energy that's swirling around me, and I know that there's something to do with X-rays, or somebody's had something broken or something like that around you just recently as well. Somebody's just saying to me as well. So if you can just let me know about what's going on within that information. Okay. Okay. Would you understand for me at the moment, Jeanette? Okay. I don't know if I've got an older gentleman that's either wanting to invest in me, or that I'm asking for some money from, or some arrangement along this something to do with money at the moment. I feel like I'm needing to get this money for an investment. I don't know if this is some roof repairs or something around that. Okay, but there's something that I've either got to think about asking for money for, or I've already had this conversation, and it looks like it looks to me within the card as though this is going to be a positive sign for you. So that money is either going to be granted, or you're going to get that financial support that you need to make these changes that you are wanting to do. I can also feel here as well that there's somebody that I keep hearing masks, but everybody's wearing masks at the moment, so it's a little bit difficult. But I want to say to you that there's a party, or there's an event or something like this, that an anniversary or some kind of get together that's going to be planned throughout this year. Okay, where you feel like you're either not going to fit in, or as though you've got to put on a different face or something to be able to attend it. I'm talking more summer months. I want to be going up to June, May, June, somewhere around that. Okay, where there's going to be this thought of seeing somebody, or being in an environment, or in these circumstances where I feel like I've got to be somebody else, or people aren't being quite right with me as well. Okay, there's a really important date for me this year as well, and it's almost as though I feel like with you, Jeanette, that I'm on an uneven pathway with it. So it's like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And it's like I've got all this build up, we're just about there, and then when I get there, I feel like somebody's just going to pull it all from me. And I just feel as though I'm on the edge of this date with that. Do you understand what that is, please, Jeanette? Because it looks as though I'm resting my whole life, or my whole mind is being taken up by this specific date that's coming up this year as well. Okay, I know I can hear that there's a gentleman here with me, and he's talking to me about debts and things as well. So I don't know if I've had to reorder these debts, or put them in some kind of plan, or write them down, or I've been doing something like that. But it looks as though I'm trying to clearly define what my outgoings are going to be and where they've got to go. And there must be some, I don't know if this is to do for your roof or something like that. But I can see this building work that's going on. Do you understand? Do you understand that? Looking for a holiday, this date to do with your holiday. So it's like, maybe that's the anxiety I'm picking up then around, do I book it? Don't I book it? Or something like that. Okay, but there is this feeling that I feel as though you still need to be waiting before you're paying any money on a deposit, or going abroad, or anything like that. Okay, so maybe you really feel that you need a break, but at the moment I would just be a little bit careful about how soon I book that, and what other things are maybe going on. This building work that I keep saying about, just wood, looking for, oh, you're looking for fences or something like that. Okay, because I can see this, and it feels to me as though this gentleman in the spirit world is saying that these are the things to just be focusing on for now, because it feels to me as though I've got this built up energy, because I'm used to being busy and I'm wanting to get on and things. Just be aware that that busy energy may also be a way of coping at the moment as well. Okay, so just be careful on those pressures that you may put on yourself around you. You understand the stomach issues as well, because I'm feeling as though I'm almost like bruised in my stomach, or there's just something that's not quite right going on there. And this is a physical condition. Okay, so it's not a mental fault that's interfering with my stomach or anything like that. I'm very much aware that this is something that I've got to watch out where I'm eating, and be very careful around my actual diet. You understand? Yeah, okay, lovely, thank you. Okay, I do know that this gentleman that I've got with me, okay, is telling me that he passed of a heart attack, okay, and he's taken me into around the December time. I can hear 2007. I don't know if this is a pattern around December 2007. That might not be the person that had the heart attack or this gentleman, but it's certainly making me aware of a passing around December 2007. And it lets me know that this person as well, when they passed, they would have interfered with the lights, or there was something to do with the lights at this time as well. So you'd understand where around this passing in that year, or just recently, if you've been having the lights interfered with or something, it is connecting to this person as well. And I know this gentleman that comes forward, he brings a child as well. I don't know if this is your child or if it's somebody very close to you, but I do know that you would have been to the headstone of this child's grave as well. Okay, and it feels to me like it's a little girl, a beautiful little girl she is, that comes forward with this gentleman. I'm just looking to see what it is that she's carrying. It looks to me like she's carrying a little doll or something like that in a basket. She's coming up a little bit. Your daughter, is it? Bless you. As she's coming a little bit closer, she's just full of smiles. But what is so fascinating to me as I look at what it is the spirit world are communicating is this relationship she's got with this gentleman. She's fascinated by him and watching everywhere that he's walking and these kind of things. Okay, this gentleman must have liked to do a lot outside, because each of the images that are flashing before me are all showing that we're outside within the nature and those kind of things. All right, and take within that. Sorry, I'm just looking at what was going on there. They're just showing me so you understand this recent. It's like I don't know if I want to put the ashes in the ground or I want to scatter them, or I'm having something like this that's going on, either scattering the ashes or putting them in the ground. And it kind of feels like we've got to reach a mutual decision or something like this. One lot's wanting one thing, one lot's wanting another. Okay, and it's just telling me that just a few conversations that will do well, but it just is reminding me to tell you that he's saying he likes to be outside, so he does feel like he would be better suited outside. So if somebody's keeping these within the house at the moment and wanting them to stay there, maybe you could just have a conversation about what kind of gentleman he was when he was alive and that he liked being outside and those kind of things. Okay, it's just talking about you can get the right balance. He says it doesn't matter to him. Okay, it's what's right for you, but he wants to be remembered as the man that was outside. So for him, he feels that he would be better suited outside. But you pass that message to wherever it is that needs to go. Okay, and he's saying to me, these headaches that you've started to get, I don't know if they're just one down one side. It's certainly here where I can feel them. It's this emotional, these emotions that are really starting to crush or produce down. And I know that you cry a lot on your own, okay? And it feels to me that when you're crying, although crying can be helpful, you need to talk as well. So what you're doing is you're processing all of this emotion and bringing it before you, but you actually need to share that or have a conversation with somebody as well. It will just stop it getting stuck and blocking this energy flow within your mind, so that you stop getting these headaches, if you can understand that as well. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a pen. I don't usually leave people with things, not usually the way I work, but it's asking me to leave you with a pen. Okay, and I know by this pen that it's showing me, it's asking you to write things down that are personal to you. Okay, because this pen's blue, and blue pen doesn't photocopy. So I know he's saying to me that this is personal information to you that you should write down, that something's safe to you, because it's saying to me, whilst you do need some emotional support, you're not ready for that at the moment because you're not willing to open up about it. If you could just put a few things down that are personal to you and just start to organise those thoughts a little bit better, then like I think we were saying to somebody else earlier on, you'll be able to explore what it is that's right for you because you're more clear about what it is. that's right for you. So you used to write poetry, so that may be a good way for you to explore developing this spiritual connection with your daughter and this gentleman on the other side, because poetry may help you to get into the flow, meaning when you're in that flow, they can pass through these inspirational words that you could use in poetry much easier. Okay, and with that, I'm going to leave you with a lot of issue. Please make sure that you are following any guidance you've been given around the diets and things like that, because I kind of feel like I'm going through a flare up, or I've just been through a flare up of it, and it's just making it really important to think about vegetables and those kind of things. All right, so I'll leave you with that, love, and thank you for working with me.
Bless you. Well, I think we've come to
any more.
I can't see any. Oh, Janice Mod.
Janice Mod, okay, all right. I'll do this one. That'll be my last one. I'll have a look at these cards for you, Janice, and I'm just going to take that card out because it's just as I just saw it just then. I want to have a look at that one as well with you. It feels to me, Janice, like I've got this gentleman here that used to like toffees, a lot of toffees, always chewing on a really chewy toffee or something. But and this man would have had a horse or something like that as well. Just let me know if you can understand that. Okay, and then if not, I might just need to work on pinpointing where that goes a little bit better. I do know that you've either walked away from something recently, or you've shut the door on something. You're not having it anymore, but you're still wondering whether this is going to be closed, whether you've heard the last of it or something like that. If it doesn't connect directly to you, Janice, this could be somebody very close around you as well. But I know this gentleman that's coming forward from Spirit that I'm talking about with the top is talking to me very much about where you've shut the door or something like this. Okay, but it's like I'm getting reminders or I'm seeing reflections of something, but I know that there's reminders. There's something there that's keeping this alive within your home or within your energy. Do you understand? Please. It feels to me like I'm taking on a lot of worry as well, and I feel that this gentleman maybe wouldn't have done. He would have been more. He would have had a good sense of humour, but he wouldn't have let the whole world get him down as such. He maybe had this saying of, let the horse worry, it's got a bigger head or something like that. Okay, and it's bringing in this reassurance to remind you that these things that make you feel like something's going to come back or it's not quite removed or anything, they're just markers within the mind that because we've experienced it, we maybe get a flashback or a reminder or something like that. And it's bringing you this nice reassurance saying you did it, you closed it. You closed that door, and that's really important that you take from that acknowledgement, because if you cut that tie 100%, no matter what, this is your decision, that will start to close that door down. And I think self-love in looking at how proud you should be of yourself for making that close, because I know that these emotions and things have not made it easy for you, and you've lost a lot of sleep over things. So, take that on board. There must be something about wanting to paint a room blue at the moment, or I've painted a room blue, or there's something about this blue room that's going on. I feel like it's a room in the house that I go in, but I don't feel uplifted in there, or the deco's outdated or something like that. There's something that needs to go on with this room, if that makes sense to you. You acknowledge the pain. Okay, thank you. Okay, this gentleman is telling me that there's something that you're thinking about saying to somebody or something like that. I don't know if this is a work situation or not, but there's something that's been on your mind, or you're thinking about saying to somebody that maybe they get on their soapbox a little bit sometimes, or they put themselves on the pedestal, and there's something that you're thinking about saying. This gentleman's telling me to tell you not to say it. Do you understand the conversation that I'm on about, and why you're saying to you not to say it or not to challenge that person at the moment? Rainbow colours. I'm not sure what that
that's referring to painting.
Oh, painting. Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I did it as soon as I say it.
It's just that little bit of delay between what we're saying and the comments coming up. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Bless.
He's very keen to get over about this conversation about there's something that you're thinking about saying, or I don't know if it's like you want to catch them out when they're making these comments or something, but it's telling you to bite your tongue, not to say anything, to just sit within your own energy. And but you understand why he's specifically referring to that at this moment in time, because there must be one specific, I know it's a man, but it's getting across to me about, it's this one specific thing. So just bear that in mind, that I'm giving it to something specific that's going on now, and not just generalizing as what you like as a person. It is giving this specifically to a situation around you at the moment. Okay. I don't know if it's you that's anemic, or there's somebody around you at the moment that's been getting red eyes or something. I know that they're taking medication, or they've gone to the chemist or to see a pharmacist about this, if not a doctor or something like that. Okay, there's something that's going on with these eyes, making me feel like that's fine. I wanted to be sure that I had delivered that information to where it needed to go before I went, so that I didn't leave you confused about it or anything like that. So I'm pleased that you know where it belongs to, and what that is. Sorting this out. You understand as well, there's a room where I'm in your house, and there's a radiator that it's like loose on the wall, or it's about to come off, or something like that as well, is what he's talking to me about. It needs tightening up, and I think it must leak. It must leak on the floor sometimes, or something like that. You can probably put a pot on it or something to catch the water. It's the kind of thing I would do. Rather than sorting this radiator out, I'll put a pot there to catch the water it's leaking or something. But is making reference to this radiator within the home that's very wobbly near this window. So you should be able to understand that as well, and hopefully that will just seal up that evidence of this message that he's come forward to say, or keep your mouth closed, basically, around this male at the moment. So I'll leave you with that and say, it's talking to me about hiccups. Somebody's getting a hiccup. As well, somebody keeps hiccup. It's your hallway radiator, is it? Radiator that he was getting across to me. But to be quite honest, I'm enjoying this time with your loved one, because it's very loving, and it's very funny as well. Okay, so it's just bringing these things, but it's saying about somebody that's hiccuping a lot. They keep hiccuping, or something like that, and it's like, off they go again or something. So it's obviously been around these it's been around, it's you, is it, that it was always, it's obviously been around you. It's just wanting to let you know that he is nice and close, and he's bringing that reassurance to you. But he's saying I don't know if you're wanting a new bedspread or a throw that goes over the bottom of the bed, but it's saying, go and buy it, go and do it, or something like that. It's like, I'm not changing all the bedding and everything. I just want this new throw and a cushion or something. And it's saying, you go for it, you go and treat yourself, and enjoy yourself. So you should be able to understand that information as well. I want to bring you Halloween has been significant as well, somewhere around there. Maybe not Halloween directly itself, but there's something that's significant there, either a memory or something. I think it might be a Halloween bonfire, because I can see toffee apples and stuff. So it must have been a significant time to you and your loved one that come forward in spirit as well. Okay. And I'm going to leave you with all of this love, okay? And this daughter that I've got with you as well, although it feels like her time on the earth plane was short or something like that, okay, I do want to let you know that she is okay, and she is really thriving in the energy of this gentleman that's come forward to bring you your message and evidence. So I'll leave you with that and say thank you for working with me. God bless you.
Wow. It's lovely to see you work. It's lovely to see your work again, matey.
Oh, I miss it, Tony, when I'm not working.
You need to do more of
it. You know, I know.
You do need
I've
to
had
do
a bit of a
more
break for a bit, you know, helping people and bringing through messages. You know, I'd love to just have nothing else to do in life but that. But you know, unfortunately, we all have these pathways to follow in our life, and it means that sometimes I don't get a chance to do very much. But I'll be back again. I'll do some more readings for you. You know, it's always a good evening with Spirit, but most of all, I've enjoyed our chat tonight and the sharing of experiences, because that means that we all receive something from it. And you know, in every comment that I hear or anything, there's a message for me.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look back and go through the comments, you'll be stunned, because I think Sharon Calladine says,
thank you everybody for commenting. I haven't seen them yet, but I will watch them.
Yeah. Sharon Calladine says it's good to see you again.
Bless you.
Bless you. It's been wonderful. Thank you everybody for watching and engaging, because without you people watching us, it's just me and Maka sat chatting to ourselves, which isn't a bad thing. And once we're out of lockdown, Maka, we'll have to get together and have a coffee or something, because
absolutely.
I miss chatting. Bless you all. Thank you for watching. Good night and God bless, and stay safe. And I will see you again tomorrow night. We'll be here. Possibly Jean, if she's feeling okay, Irene and myself doing our Sunday Divine Service. 6:30. 6:30. It'll be lovely to see you all on if you've got a chance. If not, we'll be doing a photo service on Monday night. Again, it'll be 6:30. So good night, God bless, and we will see you all soon. I will.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.